Do you ever think computers will be conscious? Just
A
about
soft left turn
so,
here.
yeah. like
Uh,
like conscious in the way we were thinking about it before. I don't know if you want to like continue talking about psychedelics.
No, I think we beat that horse pretty
Yeah.
well.
But it's something I've been thinking
I
about.
thought about
for a
that
bit.
earlier too
Like,
during this podcast.
are conscious just like animals are conscious, right? They're not that crazy smart. But like computers are really, really smart. They're smarter than in the sense that, you know, they do things, you can do calculations that humans can't just do in that span of time. And, you know, now they're able to do things that we didn't think computers could previously do, like make art on some level, right? And
building on that question though, like, do you think we need to understand consciousness before we create it?
Yeah.
Or do you think we'll create it and be like, oh shit, that didn't think that was gonna work?
It's such a weird thing to understand because we're in it and we're trying to understand it from here. It's strange.
I definitely think we'll build something that like is indistinguishable from the real thing before understanding it. I think that's more, at least in my mind, that's more likely.
That's gonna be a great business. Also, like I can imagine some businesses, but also that's gonna be kind of scary too. Like, what if at some point, like that technology is so developed, like it can just grow on its own and like innovate on its own, and do its own thing,
have its own communities of like other consciousnesses.
Yeah, like our technology becomes just self-improving. It just becomes its own thing we can study.
Yeah.
Dude, I just think it's just like people are just too optimistic about that stuff. Like I wish that day would happen. Like, damn, I can just sit at home and not do anything. But like, come on, I think that's just too far-fetched.
But what if 1,000 years from now, literally like maybe not within our lifetimes, like 10,000 years from now, 100,000 years from now?
That's too hard. That like I think it's possible a new universe starts in that amount of time. Like anything can happen, right? Like it's too hard to make predictions that far into the future.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what thing you're trying to predict. Like we can predict where the moon is going to be in 100,000 years. Pretty exactly.
Or the number of like what's the Murphy's law? Gates transistors on a silicon disk per inch or something.
Silicon. Oh, what transistors?
It's like a density. It's like number of transistors on like a square inch.
Oh, the Moore's law or something.
I think it's Murphy's. Oh, is it Moore's?
Murphy's law.
Moore's law? Okay.
Yeah.
Murphy's
law is like whatever bad can happen will happen.
Interstellar. Did you watch that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love Interstellar. Interstellar is great, dude. I think Christopher Nolan makes, bro. Tenet, I can't wait to watch Tenet.
Dude, it's delayed. I'm so sad.
Fucking Corona, bro. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the consciousness thing is weird, especially with like AI and consciousness, or just like artificial consciousness.
I agree with you. Like machine learning, like AI is nowhere near that capability.
Yeah.
It's like once you learn a little bit about it, you just realize there's some regression and some optimization.
Yeah, it's literally just applied statistics.
It's literally just some statistics.
Yeah.
Wait, but I mean, if it's just something like on an individual level, you understand well. Like if it gets to like such a scale that you're not able to like
predict,
like you're not able to understand the parts, like you understand the parts, but you don't understand how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
At that point, it will be like pretty hard to tell from the real thing. Like if you build it in the right way.
Yeah.
But really, like your brain is a very, very complex network of simple things interacting with each other. Right?
Yeah.
So
I think decoding the brain is going to help a lot towards, creating consciousness for sure.
Yeah. For some part of me, I think like the fact that you're like, like consciousness, the way I might try to describe it and define it is like, why aren't we, there's the hard problem. This is the easy problem consciousness. And then this is a term.
Easy problem.
Easy problem consciousness is, like perceptual things, like, we can perceive things, and that's like we perceive things in conscious world, right? Like conscious reality, we have perceptions of things, and we, I don't know how to articulate it, but that's one aspect. There's other aspects, like you perceive things in the world. That's like part of consciousness. You're conscious of things. You're aware of things.
Okay.
But the other part of the hard problem of consciousness is that why are we aware of ourselves in the fact that why aren't we just robots? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah.
like people for a long time thought animals are just robots. Like they're just doing their thing. Like why aren't we philosophical zombies?
Yeah.
Right. That's like the hard problem. Like why is there this experiential part of being alive?
Yeah. And like on that point, I think I was talking to someone and she's pulling this from Sapiens. If you've heard of that book, it's like this really big book about like anthropology and goes through like early man to like industrial revolution, Bronze Age, like really like kind of like an anthropology like timeline basically.
Yeah.
And they say like a lot of like anthropologists and like psychologists will like agree, probably psychologist wasn't the right word, but like that there was a certain point where like humans weren't conscious. And it's like somewhere in the Bronze Age, we developed consciousness, which is like a really interesting thing.
Wait, the book, there's a book about that, right?
Probably.
It's by Julian something. Ah, fuck. Forget the name.
You have Google open, right?
The like breakdown of the bicameral mind or something.
Oh, that sounds kind of familiar.
Wait, what's it called?
Breakdown of the bicameral mind or something.
Oh, bicameral.
Sounds really familiar.
I'll post it in chat.
Okay. You should also say you found it?
Yeah. It's by Julian James.
Julian James, huh? And he talks about that?
I read part of it. But yeah, he basically said our social structure reached a density at the collapse of the Bronze Age for humans to develop consciousness.
Our social structure, what?
So like our social structure developed to a point where either it was necessary or it was we were ready to become like aware of the fact that we're conscious.
So it's like an environmental thing.
Yeah.
Or it's a social thing, yeah, environmental.
Right.
And he like documents like how, you know, books from before this age were use language that doesn't suggest that we were conscious, and afterwards it became more like our modern writing style, and a lot of other things like that.
That's crazy.
Also language, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Like you didn't really need language until
like
you were surrounded by the people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. I mean, that's kind of interesting. Like, is that how we should approach like creating consciousness? Like, just like put a bunch of AIs in Club Penguin and just wait till they form these social structures where they need to develop consciousness.
Global warming destroyed Club Penguin. So.
Wait, what? Global warming destroyed Club Penguin?
Yeah, it's no more, man. It's
really?
It's a thing of the past now.
I feel like you can try that, but what they develop might not be the same thing as what we have, or even in the same class of things. I feel like consciousness is just one solution out of many that allowed humans to like.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Be extinct.
What if it's just a byproduct? So nature doesn't always, like, a lot of our features aren't directly products of trying to find a solution. So a lot of our,
I mean, that's exactly my point. Like it was one way for us to not become extinct, right? Or like it was just like the fact that we're alive is because we had this thing called consciousness. But if you put some AIs in Club Penguin or some like some game like some World of Warcraft type situation, they might develop like some other like hive mind or group structure, social structure that's very different from consciousness.
That's an interesting idea.
Or like social structure, like, you know, like insects and stuff.
Yeah.
You ever think about, we're like all in, like, there's like this, like, humans aren't smart in the fact that we're not like, we don't like.
Speak for yourself, dude. No.
Yeah, bro. Going back. But humans aren't smart in like the fact that like, oh, an individual human can't do that much. Like you can't build them. Like if you just put a human with no connection to the rest of the humanity, they can't do that much shit. They'll just die. We're not strong. Maybe we can think of some tools to like do some stuff. Maybe you can get by, but you won't prosper.
Yeah.
But like humans only really prosper with other people. Maybe it's like just the fact that
we're so. No.
Huh?
All right, commie.
Commie? Oh shit, yeah, bro. Socialist outing. This is my socialist outing, dude. But yeah, maybe it's like, you ever notice there's like a collective like like body of knowledge, like that's being carried through humanity,
Yeah.
and we're all just like drawing from it, and we're putting to it, and it's just being pushed through history, and you're just part of the wave. And the wave is like the body of knowledge.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, yeah, that brings another point I wanted to talk about, but that's kind of not related. Well, it's kind
Wait,
of related.
go for it, dude.
You guys have heard of the Chinese room, right?
The Chinese room?
Yeah.
No.
No, I haven't heard of
So,
Sorry, I didn't get raised by 2 Chinese parents, so I don't know about the Chinese
well, I
room.
did actually.
It's a thought experiment by John Searle. It's like a famous psychologist. But
Okay.
anyway, the story goes that one day you come across this room, and there's like a window or like an opening in the room, right? And then you can pass in messages to it.
Okay.
And then you're Chinese, so you write. I don't know exactly how it goes, but this is the idea. You're Chinese, so you write Chinese on a piece of paper, and then you put it in, and then sometime later you get a message back to respond what you said, the response to what you said. But inside the room, what is actually happening is that there's an American person that doesn't know any Chinese, and he just takes the message and looks up like each character through a dictionary and constructs an English response, and then translates that through the dictionary to a Chinese response and pass it back.
Oh.
And
What's the point of this?
I forget if it's actually a person inside or if it's just a machine inside. But anyways, you think that, oh, you're talking to a Chinese person, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you would notice, right? Like if you were the Chinese person, like you would notice there's like your responses, the questions you're asking, the responses you're getting, like wouldn't be typical.
Okay, maybe you're an American, so you don't know any better.
Oh, wow.
But you're trying to talk.
Yeah.
The point of this thought experiment is just to think about like whether this room is actually conscious. If it's able to produce responses that are like indistinguishable from a normal person, but inside the process of it, whether it be another person who doesn't know Chinese or a machine that automatically like translates between the languages, right? Google Translate. Like, is that thing conscious or not?
But the question is that a measure of consciousness at all? Because you're trying to like that in that scenario, we're trying to see if we can distinguish the activity of one thing that's conscious versus the activity of something that we know. Let's say we know isn't.
No. Let's assume that the machine is like perfect, indistinguishable, or like the person that's operating, like handing the paper, has perfect translation skills.
Well, let's look at a subset of that problem, right? Let's look at one. Let's say it's perfect in the sense that it can do a bunch of different things, right? It can like do all the things a human can do, right? And it's indistinguishable in that sense.
Yeah.
Right. Like from the outside, it looks exactly like a human. But let's look at one thing a human can do, and let's say it does that perfectly as well. Let's say it's like detect making music, right? It can make, I don't know, that's a hard thing to like measure. Like, well, like what's a task that humans like and people can both humans can do really well and
okay. I mean, I guess I kind of told the story a bit wrong, but I think one of the John was trying to make is that like just considering the task of responding to text messages, just that one task. If inside the room, like if inside the room it was a machine that was taking your message and responding, is the fact that that thing is not a biological process preventing it from being a conscious system as a whole?
I don't think so.
But then we have NLP, like that can do that, right? Like maybe as it gets better, it can be so well, such good like natural language processing system that it's just indistinguishable from human responses. But that at that point, we would be able to look at the background and see the statistics and shit, you know.
I don't think consciousness is uniquely biological. I think it definitely could be something that's man-made or like virtual, I guess. And the other thing is like, I know we talked about like consciousness being brought up because of like social structures, but do you think like absence of social structures, let's say like I just locked myself in a room, right?
Yeah.
And I guess there's all actually books like kids locked in a room, you know, until they're like
Yeah.
18 or whatever. Like that thing's still conscious, right? Even though it's not making these interactions and it wouldn't pass any Turing test because there's no other thing it's talking to.
Actually, that's a good
It's
question.
it'd still be considered conscious, right? Like even with absence of like interactions with any other conscious beings.
Well, they called her Jeannie the feral child. There was like a girl called Jeannie, like that was like held by her parents in a dark room in a chair, like until she was 12 or something. And she acted like, well, like they called her feral because she acted like an animal in the sense like she would just be like
She wasn't.
I don't know if I don't know if she wasn't conscious. I'm just saying like
she acted way
she
differently.
acted really strange, yeah. But then maybe this because she wasn't used to like normal social structures, and eventually I don't know if she like completely like reintegrated, but
yeah.
Wait, what was the situation that made her being in a dark room or something?
You guys are fucked up or something.
Fucked up parents, yeah, completely fucked up parents.
I mean, the parents being fucked up is one thing, but that provided a really valuable test subject for psychology. Like,
yeah, for sure. No, everybody references that. It's one of the most referenced, like cited, like things in psychology.
Like if humans were just a bit more fucked up, I think we would get a lot more done in psychology.
100%.
Oh yeah, definitely. Our moral code and ethical code is definitely holding us back in a lot of human test trial shit.
But then
that's why we need to create humans or like clones or something that we can convince people doesn't have a soul and shit.
Yeah.
Like not woman boy.
Cloning is like pretty forbidden, right?
What'd you say?
What's even forbidden? Like cloning is pretty forbidden by most morals.
Wait, what is cloning? Yeah, cloning.
Yeah. That's why we need to get something that's not cloning. That's something that like we're able to do these fucking human testing.
Maybe one day like our like simulations will be so like great that we can just simulate it. I don't know.
And then bringing up simulation theory real quickly.
Oh shit.